Well, hello, hello, hello. Jane Hogan here, the wellness engineer. And this is Wellness by Design. It's a show that's dedicated to help people create their best health, optimal health using natural solutions and so that they can design a life that they love. So I'm really excited today to welcome Cho Lin Moy to the show. And I'm just going to read Cho's bio for you because I don't have it memorized. And it's pretty amazing. So Cho Lin has over 18 years of experience as an expert in alternative and Chinese medicine. She is the founder of Integrative Healing Arts, and it's in New York City, which utilizes Chinese medicine, acupuncture, herbal medicine, and energy healing to treat patients. It is her integrative approach using the ancient Eastern philosophy and healing methods while supporting Western scientific paradigms of health. This is a powerful combination that helps the patient learn how to heal so they can take charge of their health destiny. Ooh, I love that. It's what I'm all about too. So she's also the author of the best-selling book, Will I Ever Get Pregnant? The Smart Woman's Guide to Get Pregnant Naturally Over 40. Using her expertise in fertility, she helps women heal underlying health issues and improve their fertility so they can get pregnant naturally using her signature fertility acupuncture protocols and Chinese medicine. Cho is an expert in Chinese medicine and on ways to get better sleep and naturally boost immunity. So Cho, welcome to the show. I'm so excited to have you here.
Thank you.
And I know we talked a little bit about what we're going to discuss today. And so we're going to lean in on your expertise in sleep today. But just first, I just want to say if anyone's watching, if you've got any questions or comments, just type them in the comments and they'll show up. And if you've got a question for Cho, you can ask it as we're streaming. So yeah, go ahead and join in. So Cho, what brought you to this line of work? Just in a couple of sentences.
A couple of sentences. Okay. Well, it's really I grew up in a family that was medical. My father was a physician, a doctor, and my mom a nurse. So I was always exposed to medicine, like health, hearing about antibiotics, like all of that stuff. And while I was interested in it, it didn't really resonate with me. It was kind of like it didn't. It seemed very cold, and so I went like every other good Asian American to be successful, like pursue success. I just say that as like a joke, really like going towards working in a business environment, like an office, and trying to figure out, what I wanted to do. And at some point, it just was really like evident that it was, not satisfying, and also really very depleting, and just not helping anyone. Like how much stuff can you sell? Like people don't need more stuff. People don't need, like to participate in that rat race. And so that was like something that I suddenly realized, like that I was, part of this cog in a wheel, but I wanted to get off. It wasn't helping me. It was just, I could see the limitation, like how many years, would I work, etc. And so
lining up with your heart.
Yeah, it just didn't feel right. But at the same time, I wanted to like help people. I was interested in health, is just, not going to medical school. And I remember that I really liked massage therapy. I always liked doing that. And I learned, when I was a kid, to kind of do massages and stuff. And so that's where I started. I decided to go back to school for massage therapy. And then while I was there, I was learning about like Eastern philosophy, Eastern foundations and healing. And that's when I realized, like, okay, I need to, this is the place that I need to go, like the next. But what I also wanted to say was, when I was making a joke about being Asian American, it was also about fitting in to be like more American, and to kind of reject some of the cultural, the cultural aspects, which included things like Chinese medicine, right? So it took for me to, come to terms with like being okay with the, that Asian, the idea of embracing, some of an ethnic background, and to be open to learning and recognizing, how powerful it was. So that's what led me to in a
Mm.
roundabout way.
It came full circle, really, didn't it? That maybe as an Asian family trying to fit into the whole American, you know, culture, and not embracing that Asian side, and then now bringing it all back again because it's your birthright. It's part of your ancestral history.
Yeah. Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, it has that, that aspect of, that it's kind of around you, but you don't realize that some of the things, like with my great aunt, and she was like, cooking some kind of soups when we were a kid, with gins, like different stinking stuff that, that was actually medicinal. You just kind of go like, ugh, like, ooh, yeah, that stuff. Right. And then you don't, you think of it differently, but then, going to school and then learning about, different ways that you can incorporate herbs into everyday food, and to, boost your immune system and do those things, that it's really part of creating that lifestyle and cultivating health, right? And that is, with Chinese medicine, it's not like, oh, it's separate medicine. It's really incorporating, things in that are going to, enhance your quality of life.
So complementing. So I know that what we said we were going to talk about today was sleep, because I know you're an expert in sleep. Besides being an expert in fertility and so many other things, I know you're an expert in sleep, and I know that like sleep is so critical to health. I know for me in my journey with healing from rheumatoid arthritis, it at some point I realized how important sleep was, and I just had to prioritize it. I just had to make it and commit to making it a priority. And I still do. I still do. And I know that a lot of people think that they can catch up on sleep on the weekends, or, that, oh, I only need 5 hours of sleep and that's fine for me. So, yeah, I see you shaking your head. So, that's a bit of a myth, right?
Yeah.
So let's hear about what the importance of sleep first.
Oh, okay. So that was a good, like the catching up on the sleep. And so one of the problems with, not getting, so first of all, the amount of sleep, or having some form of sleep deprivation. So like insomnia is not just like you can't sleep. I think of insomnia as also that you have interrupted sleep or
Mm-hmm.
not restful sleep, because you're just not getting that, restorative and regenerative, healing that your body needs, for making growth hormone, which is for tissue repair. There's also a problem when you don't sleep. Just one night of poor sleep, your brain accumulates the amyloid B, which is this protein associated with Alzheimer's, and mental dysfunction. So the idea that you're going to catch up on sleep is not true. Like you can't. You're building up damage to your brain, and which is why we definitely see a much higher rate of dementia and Alzheimer's starting to show up. It's not just because, oh, everybody's living longer and that's why eventually everyone gets that. Like, I don't believe that's true. I actually really think it's like lots of sleep problems. So what's really important is to get that deep and restorative sleep. And then another thing, like one of the problems that we have, and I actually am trying to think of what article I was writing about it, is that as we reach like the age, by the time we reach the age of 50, most people are on at least two medications, right? Like a cholesterol or a hypertensive or something. And then as we get past 65, there's this tendency is, to have more and more of the pharmaceuticals, which then they call it like polypharma, where a lot of the medications like hypertension medication and cholesterol medication actually can cause problems with your sleep. So then you're starting to have, then you take like a sleep medication, and then there's constant, so what happens is that we get into this cycle. And so the important thing is that you've got to make sure that you get a restful sleep. And I know, let's see, one of the things is important is to go to bed when it's dark out, like
Yes.
not stay up. So the time of day is very important, right? Lowering the lights in the evening actually you start to make melatonin, so as it gets, as you get into evening, instead of having bright lights, you kind of lower them, like turn off the television, like those kinds of things, because then that's when your body's starting to manufacture the melatonin, and then you'll have like a longer sleep cycle, right? So if you have the bright lights on and then you go to bed, your sleep cycle is going to be shorter. So that it's like important to kind of to slowly let your body power down. So that way you're helping to regulate your circadian rhythm, which is the body rhythm. That's also responsible for hormonal regulation, right?
Yes.
Sleep during sleep we make serotonin, which is for mood and depression, and the immune system also. So there are so many different things that can affect that will affect our health if we're not getting good sleep. Right?
Yeah, it's all so tied together, isn't it?
Yeah, it's not just, but the one thing, like if you want to do for your health, and this is also true with fertility, is that the same area that regulates sleep in the brain is also the same area that regulates the reproductive hormones. So poor sleep,
Interesting.
you're going to get everything is going to be, off, aside from the more stress on your body and the metabolic waste that builds up. So like all of those things are going to contribute to, fertility, like fertility success. But even later on, I mean, it doesn't have to be, right. It's not just for, men and women of reproductive age. It's, it is it's true no matter what. And in fact, older, you really need the sleep, right? Because of the hormone.
Well, it boosts our immune system too, and that's so
Yeah.
important right now. I know everyone's talking about we've got this world pandemic and everyone is frightened of catching COVID, but when you can give your immune system a boost, it's going to make you're stronger so that you can resist it. If you do get it, you can fight it off. So important now for people to establish these routines. So having that regular routine, like you said, the evening, turning the lights off. So you're setting that whole circadian cycle. And I don't know if you were going to mention this afterwards, but I'll just bring it up. The blue light is an issue, right?
Yeah, blue light is actually an issue. I don't know if it's measured with humans, but it has definitely been measured in rats. Where the blue light actually affects the sex hormones, reducing, I believe, like the progesterone and the estrogen. I'd have to double check because I did research with that, and I was like, wow, it's interesting because now everybody is using their phone all the time for everything.
Yes.
And the generation before, or let's say 20 years ago, we weren't in front of the computer all the time. Now even kids excuse me, are doing their homework. We use our tablets to watch movies, everything, and
It's
so
our alarm clock.
yeah, there's a constant exposure. We're reading online. What effect does it have? It just needs to have enough, to tip us over, right? Just enough to disturb the rhythm, right? And also the being on on a tablet, the light flickering also overstimulates our brain and optic nerve.
Interesting.
So, yeah, So we're constantly, our eyes are trying to focus, focus, focus. We can't see it, but
No.
in fact, there's this constant flickering,
Yeah.
and that's why your eyes get really tired and fatigued. Right. So
I've read about that too. And would you say to not look at screens, say in the last hour before bed or
yeah, like an
after?
hour or two, not like that, like we're like, face to face. That's the thing. Like with the tablets, it's so close. I'm guessing if you're, watching something from a distance, it's a little bit better. But realistically, you need to give your brain time to shut down from all of the stimulation because it's very stimulating, right?
Yeah. And so even if someone is wearing the blue light blockers, they're not getting that blue light, but they're still getting the stimulation.
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah.
And usually there's a lot of stuff that is on the screen, like the nature of what we're watching. So in some cases, I don't know if this was like several years ago, where there were some kids that were having seizures because they were watching some of these things. One of the things that keeps us engaged, and this has to do with animation, it's kind of like they have the little, the different frames of action, similar to, if you would remember this, you'd have a pad and there'll be all these different pictures. And as you were flipping through the pad, it would be like a motion picture.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about? Like that. Okay. So what happens is that as it skips through each page, your brain fills in the rest of it. Right. So you don't have to have every single seat. You just need to have this and then to that, and your brain will fill in the difference. And so it keeps you engaged. So a lot of what we consume, especially like with kids, all the kind of cartoons or the animations, those frames may have those spaces. And so what happens is it engages your brain in a way to fill in the blank of what the movement was, the flicking. And so that's how it will, stimulate the brain.
So it's still working.
Yes,
So,
very active.
even if someone's got the blue light blockers on, still getting that brain stimulation.
Yeah.
So we're not getting that settling down of the brain in preparation for sleep.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay, so we've talked about the lights and setting the rhythm. So what other suggestions do you have for improving sleep?
Sure. Well, definitely, if you can lower the temperature in the bedroom, that's also something that helps our system to cool down. Like our body naturally, when we're in sleep, in a kind of a stasis, it's almost like a hibernation, our body function will slow down and will cool, right? Because we're not moving. So if the temperature in your bedroom gets dropped, in the summertime, it's kind of hard unless you have air conditioning, right? That actually kind of like will also trigger, more of the sleepy, like it helps to speed the sleepiness, right? There's that. And then also decluttering your sleep space. Again, that's that stimulation. If you see like piles of things like, oh, got to do that laundry, or, oh, or the computer is there, that's also going to distract you, like a distraction.
Yeah, mental distraction.
Yeah. Yeah, so things like no TV in the bedroom. Like that's got to be like any of those things. And if you can also limit the electronics in the bedroom too, because they make all the dings and the pings and stuff, in the night.
There's a lot of people who say, I know a lot of people say, oh, I need the TV in the bedroom. That's how I get to sleep. But it still is interrupting their sleep.
Yeah, well, what it is it exhausts them to the point where they check out, right? So that's actually not good. It like overstimulates till you just like kind of like shut down. And that's not great, right? That's
yeah.
Trying
to convince people of that is a different story. Yeah. Not always easy.
Yeah, and actually also before, what you're thinking about before you go to bed. If you're thinking about things like you're worrying or you're going over the day of like, oh, this happened, that happened, right? Then you're kind of directing your brain to be thinking about stuff that might be disturbing while you're sleeping, right? And so it's like you're commanding your brain to, think about not good stuff.
Right.
So that's also important. Like, what are what you're consuming? Like, are you watching disastrous news and things like that? Talking to people or, things that are very disturbing before you go to bed, that is going to affect what's going to be processing, during the night.
One of the things I suggest with my clients is, thinking about some gratitudes, things that happen during the day that you're grateful for. And when you get in that state of gratitude, you're setting the whole tone and telling your brain, I'm safe, all is good. You get your central nervous system into that rest and relax mode so that you can get a good sleep. So is that's sound advice too, you would say?
Oh, absolutely. That's absolutely the gratitude. It's interesting because it, like the gratitude was like, oh, it's so new agey. But actually, it could also be prayer too.
Yes.
The brain chemistry actually changes. So scientifically, that they've looked at it, that it actually changes and shifts the brain chemistry to, feelings of well-being. And they talk about it from the inside.
Yeah.
They're not from the outside of like, oh yes, I'm feeling, but really like this feeling coming from the inside, which is where it all comes from. Like, we make that,
Yes.
And it's actually a very powerful tool.
Yeah, I know. It used to be, like you said, sort of thought of as new agey and all this kind of thing, but the science is proving now that our thoughts, do affect our feelings, and our feelings do affect our physiology as well. So there's an actual physical response to our thoughts, and our cells are responding all the time.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, of course, like cultures, certain cultures, they're going to pray several times a day, that you can actually, that's more religion. I mean, the same process is really, to, give thanks or, recognize, like it's interrupt the monkey brain and do a reset, right? So I think that's really important, right?
Yeah.
First thing in the morning, you can do it. Before you go to bed, those are nice things, right, to do.
I love the way, Cho, that you brought that prayer in, because, a lot of people aren't really thinking of doing prayers before they go to bed. And so it hasn't been replaced with anything else, but now we're talking about replacing it with gratitude, which is going to put your brain and your body in the same kind of state of feeling comforted, feeling safe, and setting the tone to relax. Okay, so what else have you got for improving sleep?
So what else we've got for improving sleep? Well, I know you probably talk with your people about like getting rid of the sugar things, because of the sugar spikes definitely they affect sleep. And can cause restlessness and inflammation. Vitamin D, so important. Those are like the things that you can, like, across the board, everybody could probably is very deficient in vitamin D. So get outside during the daytime, and also that will help to set your biological clock.
Yeah.
You want to get vitamin D, or you might need to, take some, because the D also affects the circadian rhythm.
Yeah.
And if you're low with vitamin D, it's going to interrupt your sleep. So those are things, and also like hormones and stuff. So really, like the few things that, that longer term, probably working on the food aspect, right? But, like starting today, you can, lower those lights, get rid of the TV screen stuff, right? If you can lower the temperature, like try a few things, like declutter, like all of those things are going to make a difference, right?
Those are great strategies. I remember reading somewhere that getting light first thing in the morning, like natural sunlight hitting your retinas first thing in the morning, really helps reset that circadian rhythm. So have you seen evidence of that in your research as well?
Actually, yeah, well, it's interesting, how like, like chickens, you give them a light bulb and they start laying eggs, because
Yes.
there's the light. And then also, like with birds, the first as the light starts to show up, then you hear them chirping. When the light goes down, complete silence, right? That they're in alignment. So, yeah, having, if you can be in the same rhythm as the earth, right? Then you're like going along with nature, and then you're not fighting it. So that's like part of like staying up late at night or all night long. You are resisting what is natural for the body. Like we're
Right.
animals, like when it gets dark, we will feel sleepy. If you live out in the country or you go camping, 8 or 9 at night, it starts to get dark, and then you're like, oh, I'm kind of tired.
Yeah.
So it is like part of the natural process, and if you can use that, that will help to support your the circadian rhythm, and
Yeah.
also, yeah, the light, and you'll feel better. Like that is also going to make you feel happier. Going.
Mm.
So if you can get outside, even in the wintertime,
Yeah.
get some natural light.
I know that people always say that when you're camping, especially if you're in a tent, you tend to sleep better. You're getting all that fresh air. You're like tied to nature so well. Perhaps some grounding is going on as well. So lots of great things that happen. But I think it's that connection with nature that really, really, really helps. So my last question before we get to how people can find you is I always say, what's one thing that a person could do to today, like something they could do today to improve their health or make them move towards optimal health?
Okay. So, I mean, in terms of, well, we definitely need to work on the sleep.
Yeah.
That's for sure. I like, some green tea or green or black tea. If you can start to, substitute that out for coffee, especially if you are someone who feels like the slump in the afternoon. It has somewhere around half the amount of caffeine in it. And it also, like both the green and the black tea, have a lot of antioxidants, antimicrobials, antivirals, like all of those things that will help to boost your immune system. And so it's just a matter of, making these small little changes that can have a really big impact. Right. And so
Mm.
that would be something, even you can just you can actually make tea with other things too, even like thyme, or in your, in your herb cabinet. But really, I would like recommend that to try doing that just a little bit different. So
So
you'll still feel the energy, but the caffeine has an arc where it takes about like with coffee, with like 6 to 7 hours to get out of your system. So if you're having like you need a little boost, but it'll be half the caffeine, so you're not going to get feel like insomnia later on when it's time to go to bed.
So would you say first would be to switch like if you're having an afternoon coffee or something to perk you up,
Yeah.
that would be the first place to switch?
Yeah, I mean, if you can switch it. Yeah, I don't know how often people drink, coffee or caffeinated drinks. A lot of them, like some of these energy drinks have a lot of caffeine in. Like there are things that people are doing, and they're like, oh, but it's a health drink, but it also has a lot of stimulants, and they take a
Mm.
while to get out of the system. But also, they can cause like sugar spikes, and it's the same with caffeine. Can also kind of like create those energy spikes, and then the crashing.
Mm. Okay, that's excellent. Thank you so much, Cho. This has been really
Oh,
great.
you're
As I
welcome.
know, I think I read somewhere that sleep is like the number one searched Google term.
I guess
Um,
now, yeah.
so many people are having trouble getting good sleep. So the things that you're suggesting here are fantastic. So thank you so much for that.
You're welcome.
So Cho, where can people find you?
Okay, so my website is www.integrativehealingarts.com. So they can find me. There's my website. I'm also on Facebook with my name. I think if you want to.
Yep, I can put it in the
Uh-huh.
comments there so people
Yeah.
can find you.
And of course, recently I've been posting stuff on Instagram,
Yeah.
kind of linking that up. And yeah, so it's pretty much, I think I'm pretty easy to find.
Yeah.
Right.
And your book, is that available now?
It is available right now for pre-order on
Okay.
Kindle pre-order. It's 99 cents on the pre-order.
Ooh.
So if anybody who knows somebody who is maybe struggling, that if they want to do a pre-order, that's there. And for your people, when it becomes available, if somebody wants to sign up, I can actually send them a copy of it as
Oh,
a
that's great.
gift. Yeah,
That's,
I could do that as a gift.
oh my gosh, thank you.
Yeah.
So
And
how would they sign up at your website?
I guess I don't have it set up yet. So what I'll do is when I have it set up, I can create a link for you, and then you can have a that.
Perfect.
So that will be, yeah. So this is all
Perfect.
new, like organizing to get it done.
Yeah, that's exciting. I'm really excited for you with your book. So
Yeah, I'm excited to run it.
congratulations.
It's, like, but I mean, I hope I can help a lot of women and families, that are struggling, at least to, help them move forward.
Mm-hmm. And you've got, is it 85% success rate? Or
Yes, I have, but I can't guarantee it for everyone.
yes, I know.
Like,
And
yeah,
that's
yeah.
for people that come in and see you and
Yeah, they
in your
come in and
clinic,
see me,
right?
and they're all in really different stages. And many are working with a reproductive endocrinologist that we're really like kind of like moving the needle, to get them into a better place.
Mm-hmm.
That they have success.
Okay. But I bet that one of your main recommendations is to get that sleep sorted out, right?
Oh yeah, the sleep and the worry, and there's so many different.
Yeah.
There are a lot of different like little steps to take.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, Cho, thank you so much
Thank
for
you.
being on Wellness by Design. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you.
Okay, bye.